All right, everyone. So I'm going to try to give you everything I got on Relief Therapeutics Holding, ticker RLFTF, or just RLF, depending upon your country, in 10 minutes. So let's get started. First of all, what is this and why do you care? So first of all, 5-day chart started out Monday morning, last Monday, between 5 and 6 cents. Hit 82 cents by Thursday, Friday. So today it's at 62 cents. Coming into next week, today is Sunday, August the 9th, okay? So anything that 14x is in the space of a week catches a lot of people's attention. Other thing, it's a respiratory drug. They're pretty much a one-trick pony. They have one drug. They're spun off from another company. Basically, they have FDA grants expanded access protocol to their drug, their one and only drug, RLF-100, for respiratory failure. What the heck is expanded access? It says sometimes called compassionate use. Expanded access is a potential pathway for a patient with an immediate life-threatening condition or serious disease or condition to gain access to an investigational medical product, drug, biologic, or medical device for treatment outside of clinical trials when there's no comparable, blah, 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 blah. So you get the point. Okay, so I'm going to jump over here to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. They have a treatment acceleration program called the CTAP. A lot of things in the works. 570 plus, 270 plus. There's 2 treatments that currently are authorized for emergency use, and I'm going to look at those. And there's 0 that are fully approved. So I think it's interesting because of the drug side of things. There's a lot less competition. There's a lot less people trying to find drug treatments. Pretty much there's a ton of money and a ton of companies working on the vaccine. So I'm not going to try to pick one of the vaccine companies, but I am interested because I've been basically following remdesivir, made by Gilead Sciences, on the treatment side. So there's a lot of anti-vaxxers and whatever. I don't know how that's all going to play out. But you can see here antivirals, neutralizing antibodies, immunodilutors, and gene and cell therapies. Okay, so that's how it breaks down. Early stage, late stage, 210. So that's a lot, like I said. Let's jump over to this next one. You can see this is a huge page, and it basically gives you all this stuff about in vitro diagnostics. It lists all of them. The next one is molecular-based laboratory tests, all the things they're running, antibody tests, all these, ventilators and other medical devices, all these. Now drug products, this is what's interesting to me. There's 3. There's remdesivir, like I just mentioned, then that's it. There's just 3, and that's the bottom. This is the bottom of the page. So this, what is this? It has the same name here. And it's basically to maintain sedation during continuous infusion when patients older than age 16 with suspected confirmed COVID who require mechanical ventilation in the ICU setting. Same thing. This is related to renal, so that's with the kidneys. It has nothing to do with respiratory treatment. One is helping the kidneys. The other is maintaining sedation. This is the only one in the treatment side. So that's why this RLF-100 from Relief Therapeutics is interesting, because not only that, it's an inhaled version, which that's, according to my model, the big problem with remdesivir on the delivery side, because you have to be in the hospital for 5 days. So I show you this just because I want you to know that they're partnered with NeuroRx, and its U.S. partner NeuroRx. I'll show you that again, but just giving you 2 sources. Here's the problem with this thing. If you may have to pay up to $50. So with Schwab, you have to pay up to $50 just to trade this, since it's a pink market or pink sheets. I know on TD Ameritrade, I think someone said $6.95, and you can't get it on Robinhood. So, but here's the thing with the pink sheets. It says this tier is also known as the open market. There are no minimum financial standards. That's a big problem for me. I mean, for most people. And it can include a wide variety of companies, including foreign companies, penny stocks, shell companies, and other firms that choose not to disclose financial information. Wow. With the pink market, firms are classified as showing current information, limited information, or no information. So you could literally get no financials with these companies, and it may not even be audited. You don't know. Okay, so here's the other thing. It trades under RLF or RLFTF. Again, you can see NeuroRx is a privately held U.S. company that's partnering with Relief Therapeutics, blah, 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 blah. Just wanted to let you know that they do have a U.S. partner. So here's what they list. This is NeuroRx's site. They list remdesivir, dexamethasone, RLF-100, interferon beta, I've never heard of this, and then vaccines, okay? So that means basically you're talking about 1 out of 4 drug treatments that you have to deal with. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's way better than trying to pick 1 out of the 150,000 million billion vaccine possible trials. Okay, so it is, we're gonna look at this guy. He's real interesting. He's the chairman of the board, but he is a full-time job. He works in for an equity firm. Nominal value of the shares are a penny. So basically there's a PE firm that scooped up a ton of shares, a gem out of New York City, and basically we're going to look at the funding, but they own about 23% of the company. Anyway, so this gentleman here, Selvaraju, we're going to check him out. So this is his LinkedIn page, and basically he has a PhD, MDA. So he's managing director at a healthcare equity research firm, H.C. Wainwright and Co. So this is his main gig. You know, he is also he chairs the board for Relief Therapeutics. He has an MBA in finance from Cornell, and then a PhD in biochemistry, neuroscience, and cell biology from Geneva. He also went to Carnegie Mellon University, biochemistry, cell biology. Okay, so pretty legit guy, right? But I mean, one thing is, you know, this is maybe like his side project, you know. So you will see this article all over the place, reposted by Barron's and MarketWatch and everybody, and basically it just gives you the same rundown, all the same stuff. One thing they do is they give you a link to the clinical trials. So I want to know what's up with this drug. The most important thing I found from this, you can read, it's just basically, it'll give you a summary about what it is, but it's basically 3 times the use, and the big thing is it's inhaled. So it's nebulized with the nebulized RLF-100. That's the big problem. Like I said, this is why it's an interesting drug, at least because the delivery system doesn't require everyone to go to the hospital for 5 days, right? You don't have that constraint. You don't have that bottleneck. If they can get someone to mass produce it, I mean, everyone can continue to isolate or stay at home or do whatever, and you know, you wouldn't have to go to the hospital necessarily. Now, maybe you would need to if it's a more serious case. I don't know. But here's the other really interesting part. So the study, estimated start date, July 1st, 2020. Estimated primary completion of that, October 1st, 2020. Estimated study completion date, end of November. Well, we're going to find out that they're going to run out of a ton of money at the end of December. So that basically gives them 30 days from when this study ends until the current agreement with the private equity firm comes to an end. It kind of gets worse actually. Relief Therapeutics Holding out of Geneva, so they're out of Geneva, yes, but they're partners in the U.S., I think, outside of Philly. So there's a going concern. They did get these audited by a reputable firm. I'll show you who did it, but it's Mazen. But anyway, current assets 263, current liabilities 2,823. So there's your going concern. Okay, there's real serious, problems with this company being in business a year from now. Here's the other problem. 2018, they had some sales. 2019, revenue from contracts with customers. Goose egg. So that's a problem. Okay, so these are audited by Mazars SA, Geneva, April 30th, 2020. Who's Mazars? If you've never heard of them, they're here. It's a global audit and accounting firm, consulting group, employs more than 40,000 people in 91 countries, head offices in France. So, they're legit. Okay, significant shareholders, and this is a big deal because there's a private equity firm out of New York City. They hold 26.8% of the total shares. So that's a pretty big influence. I don't know. I mean, I think it's possible they could definitely, on their decision alone, significantly change the share price, influence the market if they wanted to. This is them. You can find them. Asset management company, private equity, New York, Park Avenue, 7th floor, yada, yada, yada. But they've been around since 2012. So they're legit. They're a legit company. I did not find Relief Therapeutics on their site, but here's one interesting thing about them. So it's basically about the money. It says here, through a formal commitment, GEM agrees to amend the SSF by prolonging its original term by 2 years until December 31st, 2020. In addition, GEM committed to increase the total aggregate amount that Relief will be allowed to draw down by, this is francs, but 20 million to a new total of 44 million and some change. The definitive amendment, once signed, will become an integral part of the original SSF agreement. But here's the problem with this, okay? The money runs out December 31st, and the trial doesn't finish until November 30th of 2020. That gives them exactly, 31 days in order to be able to either get new funding or for these decisions to come out or any follow-ups or any outcomes. So that's one really interesting thing. Like I said, audited, we know about this. Lastly, this is just an interesting thing to know about them, but to be part of this company called Sonnet Biotherapeutics. And basically what it says, this divestiture will allow Relief Holding to focus its resources to further develop its main asset, Aviptadil, which is the RLF-100 for pulmonary affections. In particular, Relief Holding's utmost priority is to concentrate on the immediate clinical testing of Aviptadil for the consequences of the COVID. In particular, acute respiratory distress syndrome, so ARDS. Relief Holdings, through an active collaboration with NeuroRx, was recently granted by the Food and Drug Administration an IND to study may proceed for the treatment of the COVID-induced ARDS, which again is the acute respiratory distress syndrome. So Aviptadil may be subsequently further developed for other lung diseases, the acute lung injury for which preliminary clinical results are encouraging. So there's been some tests come out. Okay, so if you're interested, if you have like a biology background, basically it's a polypeptide, and it says it was discovered in the 1970s. Although first identified in the intestinal tract, it's now known to be produced throughout the body, and it's primarily concentrated in the lungs. Yada yada yada. There's a 20-year history of safe use in humans and multiple human trials for all these different things, asthma, allergies, pulmonary hypertension. And so there is some history to it. There have been some tests done, so it's not like a fresh out of the box type of thing. But that's basically the long and the short of it. Am I going to buy it? There's nothing in here that tells me that the price is going to stay elevated at this 60 cents. There's nothing that, I mean, I can't imagine why it's not going to come back down at a much more reasonable price. That's my take. It does really interest me because it is nebulized, so it can be inhaled. It's, you know, remdesivir, they're also working, Gilead Sciences is working to get remdesivir inhaled as well, but I don't know, maybe there's a hiccup. Maybe it takes some time. Maybe that's not going to work. And so certainly it's not going to work to be able to give everybody that needs some kind of treatment to give it to them intravenously. So I think it's really interesting, but this is a big time spec play. I mean, like I said, one trick pony, yeah, at 14x last week. I mean, will they get more funding when the trial wraps up November 30th until their money runs out on December 31st? Is this guy, despite being very talented, I mean, is he more kind of focusing his career on H.C. Wainwright? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Hope that helps you guys. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.